Hey, I am into the first 9 chapters, or 32% of Hero of the Empire, all about Winston Churchill in the Boer War. The Boer War happening in the sweet spot. It's actually the Second Boer War, in this sweet spot of my reading project of 1901. I think this is like 1899. So, 10 years before, 10 years and after, where, yes, Winston Churchill, which we definitely get kind of a picture of him as a very ambitious young man, a scion of aristocracy, not particularly wealthy aristocracy, but definitely aristocracy that's always been in the kind of the levers of power. And he's gone off to be a soldier because he knows this is how he can kind of get into the war. Comes back, tries to run for office, does not succeed, though knowing what I know about from Barbara Tuchman, is swept aside by a liberal candidate, which makes sense because this is sort of the very brief rise, it seems, of liberals to power. Fails there, so decides to then become a war correspondent for the next war happening because he can't get into, he's not in the army at this point, so he goes off to get into the Boer War, which is this tussle between Dutch, German, white settlers of kind of the Transvaal and the Free Orange State, and who went in there and butchered and decimated the actual the African tribes that were actually there, which were not terribly. Particularly, basically with disease and their technology of that particular area, were not particularly able to fend them off, and were indeed completely decimated by them. Not completely, well, they were bashed completely back. But unfortunately, gold was found. Diamonds were found there, and which perked up the ears of the British, who were like, we want a piece of that. So we have these two colonizers who are going to go to town on each other. The British come in thinking, we're going to just fuck everybody up and bull everybody over. We'll be back before Christmas. That kind of bullshit was very much the thing, which is the thing by people who weren't aware exactly how honed and dangerous of a fighting force the Boers were. They had gone up against the Zulu and the Zulus and other really serious fighting forces of Africa. Indeed, kind of bonked on each other. Not gone to war for 10 years, and then did go to war, but with a really interesting figure named Shaka, I believe is the name of the Zulu guy, who basically transferred the Zulus into a really fearsome fighting force, sounds like he was a motherfucking scary dude. Only lasted until like into the 1820s himself, before he was murdered by his own people, because he was such a fucking sweetheart. But serious things. And there's some, Candice Millard, the author, makes some points that maybe they actually kind of influenced the Boers who fought beside them, in some cases, in their tactics. But I mean, the Boers also invested in the most modern of firearms of the time, so that they were really ready for the British. The British were used to going up against inferior places where they would just have older weapons. Like, these people were super armed, super well trained, super knew the area they were in. And yeah, that's what they're coming into. That's what Winston Churchill is coming into. We've had at the very beginning, we have a thing where he is already a prisoner of war of the South Africans, and has just gone over the fence and is like, oh shit, what am I going to do now, because he gets cut off from the people who are going to go with him. So now he is on his own in Bohr controlled thing on his own. How is he going to survive? That sort of thing. Probably is going to get rescued by somebody, because God, he's got a fucking Mr. Churchill has a charmed fucking life. He's one of these guys who's like, he was always looking for the opportunity, always looking for the glory, because he knew that is his way to political life. Very American feeling figure. And indeed, at one point, someone sort of compares him to Theodore Roosevelt, in that kind of just like baldly kind of just saying like, oh, you know what I did? I did this and I did this and I did this. They are self-promoters. They're unashamed. They're not bragging as much as they're just like super like, you should know because I'm promoting myself because I am destined for greatness. And that is indeed how he felt. It's like, I can't get shot because I am destined for greatness. That kind of thing. The definite things that Millard kind of does kind of put across is a quoting a lot of his words. He is a good writer. You do get the sense that Winston Churchill is probably his best propagandist, but also has a way with the words, which I'm sure will comes in handy, and also has a sense of humor, which kind of goes a long way. He's an egotistical, self-promoting motherfucker, but he does it with a twinkle in his eye, and that will get you a good long ways. He's very much part of the aristocracy. His uses his mother shamelessly to pull all the levers he can to get what he wants. He's definitely, he's a rich boy who, not, well, he's not a rich boy, but he's someone's like every family friend, every, who are like prime ministers or generals. He will use all of that to get what he wants. This is not a meritocracy. But he's using this to kind of get his merit shown, as it was. He's not liked by other British people. It's interesting. You can see Americans or other people liking him a lot more, because he's like, yeah, he's a self striver. He promotes himself. He brags, which is just like anathema to kind of that British kind of low key. I'm not going to make a big fuss about myself. I'm just quietly awesome. Which as a Canadian and having experienced all the Americans and their shameless self-promotion, I can see that as well, and it's probably kind of soaked into Canadian life too. Of if you want to make anything, you gotta pump yourself up, which is just like, ugh. So yeah, it is very much kind of him as hero. I'm grateful to have read Barbara Tuchman and gotten a lot of different people. Like he is a part of the patrician class of the turn of the century, the people that will get flushed out. And I mean, indeed, as quickly as World War II is over, he and his party get turfed. The Labour Party comes in, because there is that thing of we'd like to have our own say and not be dictated by a bunch of aristocracy. Even though he seems to himself have been somebody who knew this, it's like, okay, I need to be a populist leader. I need to be somebody who can appeal to the masses. Though I don't know how much in general policy later on as a politician he was really able to kind of be there for the people, as much as he's probably more there for the wealthy, the rich, the upper crust, the non little people. But conservatives do figure that out going forward, and witness any conservative party now that is still a viable going concern, very much so. Even in this era, having convinced working people to actually vote for them, which to me seems against any of their own common interests. But I'm getting off topic here. I do wonder if Winston Churchill is somewhat of a figure like Richard Burton, which is like, not someone you see written about as much nowadays as you did like 30, 40 years ago. Kind of lost his heroic luster in a world of post colonialism and maybe slightly, yeah, a less, you know, the conservative heroes of today are not Winston Churchill um, or, Richard Burton. They're, much more contemporary, slimy figures, as I would put it. Um, yeah, so it's interesting that Candice Millard seems to take this view, and it's like always to temper, her rah rah of these guys um, with my own sensibilities there as well. But she is quoting his words, and he is slightly endearing in his "I'm awesome" and "I'm going right into battle," and you know he really doesn't he really does have a lot of you know physical courage and put to itness, and he is definitely this is he's viewing this war as an opportunity for himself to become, as they say, hero of the empire. I'm assuming. All right, I'm going to leave it there. More videos later.